Well, these cases they're always difficult anytime you're talking about a child.
Tragedy for a Lexington family after their toddler is hit by a bullet and killed, who police have now charged in the case.
The toddler's death comes after the shooting deaths of several teenagers in Lexington. City leaders say enough is enough. We're talking to them about their plan to try and stop the violence.
And a Boyle County teenager charged in the death of her stepmother faces a Kentucky judge for the first time since her September arrest.
I consider her and Kenny both monsters.
The tough words her father had for her today.
This is WKYT News at 6.
A devastating loss for one Lexington family. Tonight, police are trying to figure out what led up to the shooting death of a toddler.
Good evening to you. It is just a heartbreaking story. Police say the little girl was sleeping on a sofa when two men forced their way inside the house and started firing shots.
This all happened at a home on Kenton Street last night. Police say the boyfriend of the girl's mother let the men in since he knew them. And that's when they started fighting and firing shots.
Police believe 2-year-old Nova Gallman was hit by one of those bullets. WKYT's Hillary Thornton is live now at the Fayette County Jail, where two men have been arrested in connection to this shooting. Hillary?
Amber, Adrian Dunn and Marquise Thurman, both 20 years old, are each facing charges of robbery and assault in connection to that deadly shooting. However, police say as their investigation continues, those charges could be upgraded as they examine evidence and gather more information. Family members say 2-year-old Nova was asleep on the couch when the two men came to the Kenton Street house.
I can tell you that she is a completely innocent victim in this whole scenario. She was in the same room when the incident took place.
That incident, an exchange of gunfire, Nova and her mother's boyfriend hit. Family members say she was not in her bedroom because she wanted to be next to the Christmas tree they had just put up in the hours before the 2-year-old was hit by a bullet, later dying at UK Hospital.
Our detectives are just like anyone else. They're humans, and things affect them, and our detectives have children of similar ages at home, and so yes, it does affect them.
Despite that, detectives continuing their job, working hard on the case, catching up with the suspects after a local hospital reported two men with gunshot wounds showing up.
Two names that the suspects gave at the hospital match the names given by the people at the home.
Detectives interviewing them for most of the day, the two now facing charges as police continue their search for answers.
We know there was more than one gun involved, and we're just trying to figure out whose hands those guns were in.
Now, investigators say they believe this fight stemmed from a disagreement over money. Neither Dunn or Thurman wanted to tell their side of the story here from jail. Live in Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Hillary, thank you. Police tell us that the boyfriend who was also injured in the shooting is expected to be okay.
Nova's death is the latest in a string of shooting deaths involving children and teenagers in Lexington. Lexington police have made arrests in all of the recent deaths, but city leaders and the community just want the violence to stop. WKYT's Monique Blair continues our top story team coverage live from the Whitaker Bank Ballpark. Monique, you talked to city leaders today about the recent shootings.
Yes, I did, Sam. How are you doing this evening? This mural you see behind me serves as a very visual reminder of the fact that a teenager was killed just less than 2 months ago here in Lexington by gunfire. Since her death, 3 more people under the age of 18 have been murdered here in Lexington.
15-year-old Trinity Gay, 17-year-old David Fletcher Jones, 14-year-old Angel Juarez, and most recently, 2-year-old Nova Gallman. Those are the 4 names of the 4 people under the age of 18 who have been murdered here since October 16th, all of them killed by gunfire. Today, during a council work session, Mayor Jim Gray started the meeting with a moment of silence for Nova Gallman, followed by a message. Mayor Gray says the city and police are doing everything they can to reduce gun violence and that they are looking at ways to get more community input. The home where Nova Gallman was shot was located in District 1. We talked to District 1 Council Member James Brown this afternoon. He says council is actively working to end the violence.
You know, I feel sadness for the families of the victims, but then I also feel sadness for the families of the perpetrators, because in a lot of cases I think they're young people too. So, you know, I think it boils down to choices and opportunities. I think we need to provide as many opportunities that we can for these young people.
Now, in each of the 4 murders of juveniles in the past 2 months, police have made arrests of the person or persons they believe are responsible. Reporting live in Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Monique, thank you. And new tonight, the Fayette County Sheriff's Office tells us a man charged with one of those murders that Monique just mentioned has been booked into jail in Fayette County. 23-year-old Kevin Garcia is charged with murder in the death of 14-year-old Angel Juarez. Garcia was arrested in West Virginia last month. He was brought back to Lexington this afternoon. Police say Juarez was shot on Thanksgiving night. They tell us he had just answered the front door of his home when Garcia shot him. Garcia is expected to be in court tomorrow.
A Boyle County teenager charged in connection to her stepmother's death earlier this year faced a judge for the first time today. 15-year-old Jenna Oakley is charged with complicity to murder and complicity to theft by unlawful taking. Investigators say Rhonda Oakley was found dead in her home on September 1st. Jenna was arrested in New Mexico just a few days later. WKYT Sean Moody was in the courtroom when we got our first look at Jenna since her arrest.
Do I have a Jenna Oakley?
This was the first time we've seen 15-year-old Jenna Oakley since she was arrested in September. Her attorney entered a not guilty plea for her on charges of complicity to murder and complicity to theft. Police had been searching for Oakley since they found her stepmother, Rhonda Oakley, dead inside her home in September. Police in New Mexico found her in a motel parking lot with 20-year-old Kenneth Nye days later. Nye killed himself in a New Mexico jail. Today's arraignment only lasted a couple of minutes.
Jenna Oakley's father, Philip Oakley, says he suspected his daughter from the beginning. He was in that courtroom today to see her answer to the charges.
You know, you always think of your daughter as, you know, they're going to prom. You're going to walk them down the aisle someday. You're going to do, and, you know, and it's like, how did mine turn out like this?
Philip Oakley says he's only talked to his daughter once since she was brought back to Kentucky.
I said, why did you do this? And she says, I don't know. So, no, she didn't come out and say I did it. Everybody, you know, it's not a mystery here. But she said, I don't know. And she said it over and over. You know, I asked her why they didn't just run off together. You know, they didn't have to do what they did. They could have just ran off, and she said it's not that easy.
As his daughter awaits her day in court, Oakley says he's thinking only of his other family members dealing with what's happened.
Be there for the people that need me, but right now Jenna don't need me. She needs something way more than me.
In Danville, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Jenna Oakley will be back in court for a status conference on January 3rd.
We are learning some new details tonight about a woman charged in connection to a deadly crash in Whitley County. Sonia Askins is charged with murder. In July, state police say Askins hit 2 pedestrians with her car on Highway 895. Teresa Bennett was killed and Joshua Bennett was injured. Troopers say Askins drove off and then came back. According to the Times-Tribune, investigators testified Monday that Askins did not have any drugs or alcohol in her car or on her. But they say Askins admitted taking prescription pills and drinking moonshine before the crash. A young girl who managed to escape from a deadly crash in Clay County has been released from the hospital. Kentucky